change gears a little bit and go back to something you said earlier, I think, in response to our first question, which is that you bristled at the accusations of anti-Semitism in part because you have the best record on Israel or the best position on Israel as compared to other people in the field or other people in the room or what have you. And I wanted to raise this concern, I think, that a lot of folks on the left who are interested in your campaign have, which is that what is considered broadly in American discourse and among the Democratic Party, frankly, among the two-party establishment, to be a good position on Israel is not the position that many people on the left take. So there was some frustration with respect to you walking back your support of Roger Waters, the kind of repeated choice to go to Rabbi Shmuley and more conservative members of the community when you are being criticized with these accusations of anti-Semitism. You've spoken about your, quote, unconditional support of Israel. And at a time when progressives were just kind of tacitly sanctioned in the House for saying, in agreement with the international community, that Israel is an apartheid state, when the Democratic House caucus is passing a resolution saying categorically it is not an apartheid state against what Amnesty International and all these other groups have said, that it's not a racist state, is that a kind of censorship as well that you're concerned about? Shouldn't elected Democrats, elected House members have the ability to criticize any nation state without it seeming like it's a violation that it needs to be responded to with this kind of a resolution, this kind of codified censorship?
Yeah, I mean, I think people ought to be able to criticize Israel, and I don't think it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. Here's the distinction. If you're criticizing Israel and not applying the same standards to neighboring states or other states, in other words, if you're making a special category to criticize Israel that's unique to Israel and letting all the other states do the worse, much worse, that then evinces a bias. And let me tell you why I think the moral case for Israel, and which would take me hours to lay out. But Israel, if you want freedom, if you're, for example, a woman, you'd rather live in Israel than any of the neighboring countries. If you're gay, 2 weeks ago there was a gay pride parade in Israel, 150,000 people. At the same time, Iran was hanging gays from cherry pickers in the major cities. If you're a woman, if you want freedom of religion, you've got to be in Israel. There are Palestinians on the Israeli Supreme Court. Can you imagine there being a Jew on the Supreme Court of any other country in the Mideast? So what I'm saying is, the conflicts between the historical conflicts between the Palestinian and Israel are, if you look at the history of that, it has nothing to do with what happened in South Africa. This is an historical conflict that Israel has repeatedly made huge concessions to try to settle. The Palestinian leadership, I think, has let down the Palestinians time and time again. I refuse. The Palestinian Authority pays Palestinians to kill Jews at this point.
So there's a lot that is disputed in there. But let me just start by saying Human Rights Watch, for instance, qualifies Israel as an apartheid state for the following reasons. It points to sweeping restrictions on the movement of Arabs, Palestinians in the region, widespread land confiscation, the imposition of harsh conditions which have led to thousands of Palestinians leaving their homes under conditions that amount to forcible transfer, the denial of residency rights to hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and their relatives, and the suppression of basic civil rights to millions of Palestinians. So I think that many people bristle at this characterization that, well, there's a double standard that people are applying to neighboring Arab nations in Israel. I think most of us would be happy and are happy to point to any number of human rights violations that happen in other countries around the world, including in the Middle East. The question is whether or not, because of our quote-unquote special relationship with Israel, the amount of money that we give to Israel, the amount of arms that we fund with respect to the Israeli defense, I think as part in our own military interest, not because of a, I think, particular interest subjectively in the well-being of Jewish people living in the region, that we have an obligation to be more critical of a state that we have so much financial entanglement with. So what do you say to that? That in fact the double standard is people who are willing to criticize those other Arab states while ignoring what our own money is funding in Israel?
Yeah, and I think that we can criticize our friends. Israel is the only democracy in the Mideast, and all of those issues, the difficult relationship between the Palestinians and the Israelis, I believe time and time again the Israelis have, in good faith, various Israeli governments going back to Ehud Barak have tried time and time again to settle in the most generous possible terms possible. If you're dealing with leadership that adopts a charter that we're not just going to go after military targets, we are encouraging our people to kill as many Jewish civilians as possible, which is the policy of the PA, the policy of Hamas. You look at any country that has security issues, and there's going to be some kind of oppression. During World War II, we're a big country. We put all the Japanese residents, citizens, in concentration camps in our country.
Right.
And Israel's a tiny country surrounded by hostile countries, each one sworn to the genocidal destruction of every Jew in Israel. There is a security issue there, and those kind of security problems require a kind of care and security precautions that anybody else in the world would be a million times more.
So does that justify then something like these illegal settlements that have been roundly criticized by the international community, or maintaining Palestinians in what have been described as open-air prison type states with unequal access to water and basic life-sustaining provisions? Would you condemn those settlements?
Again, the Israelis again and again during the negotiations have offered to close those settlements and to obliterate them and to move their populations out. So
out into where? Because I think the fundamental issue is that, and it's a matter of Israeli policy, and this is part of why.
If you let me finish. In fact, in polling, the residents of those settlements have favored closing the settlements in exchange for real peace agreement. So what the Israelis have said, we will close those settlements. We will, we will trade land for peace. The Israelis have said that again and again and again. In every instance, the Palestinians have refused.
So I think this is the fundamental issue, is that there's some substantive disputes over the timeline of who said no to which kind of agreements and who's at fault for the viability of the two-state solution being increasingly not viable, especially because of the increased expansion of the settlements and the fact that there isn't enough land left, basically, for them to really be an integrated Palestine at this point, which is why the left has moved from a position of a two-state solution to something that needs to be closer to a one-state solution. But the problem with the latter, and this is why Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, et cetera, have described this as an apartheid state, is that the stated position of the Israeli government is that if we were to fully allow Arab Palestinians to have full citizenship and voting rights because of the population's reality of the states, they feel like they can no longer maintain a Jewish state. And a stated desire to do exactly that is definitionally, if you want to enforce laws that keep people at various statuses of citizenship within a country, that's how we get to the position where it's an apartheid state. So then how do you square a condemnation of some of those actions on the part of the Israeli government, which we send so much money to, with what you said before, which is that you have this, quote, unconditional support? How can you, and when we have this monetary relationship with Israel, also support unconditional support while having the ability to criticize the actions of a government?
Well, by unconditional support, I don't mean that I'm going to co-sign every action by Netanyahu or Likud or whatever, or the settlements, or a particular settlement or a particular policy. I don't mean that. I mean that we have a special relationship with Israel. Israel is an outpost of democracy. And one of the ways to think about this is that after World War II, we developed the same special relationship with Turkey and with Greece because we believe that keeping those countries functional in that part of the world was an important barrier against the expansion of adversaries. Today, we have the Chinese and Russians moving into the Mideast in force. The one ally that we have that is really reliable is Israel, but not only that, Israel is an oasis of democracy. It's the only democracy in the Mideast. It's the only, and listen, even if you're a Palestinian, it's going to be better to be in Israel. If you want to criticize your government, you better do it in Israel than any of the surrounding governments.
The GCL, God's chosen lunatics. So many things he said there were wrong. He sounded like Frank Lunt's handbook on how to lie. They're willing to trade land for peace. Bullshit. The line they say all the time is we're not willing to trade land for peace. Thing is, it's not their land. They just, as you just saw, that's just one example. They just smash someone's house down and then squat on the territory. They're not going to withdraw the settlements. They're building more settlements. They're trying to take all of Jerusalem. He actually said they have a policy to kill and genocide every Jew in Israel. He sounds like he's compromised. Nobody's that stupid. He's overreacting. First, it started with he withdrew his support for Roger Waters. Roger Waters, good on Ukraine, Syria, and so on, but they labeled him anti-Semitic. Why? Because of his Pink Floyd routine that he's been doing for like 20 or 30 years? Has the hammers or whatever? That's the whole point, is he's making fun of this delusional dictator. Rather than talking to Roger, which is very easy to do if you're Robert F. Kennedy Jr., no, they labeled him anti-Semitic and he threw him under the bus. Does he have the courage to stand up for him? Roger Waters, along with myself, Max Blumenthal, and a lot of people, they all have their little Canary Mission report, these psychopaths. I want to say that woman from the Hill did a good job. Does anybody know her name? I'd vote for her over these weirdos. He did this interview with Rabbi Shmuley where he said Leo Frank was innocent. Among other things. It was that was really hard to watch. That was so sad. That was textbook answers that Zionists give. Oh, they're trying to push us into the sea. Oh, maybe you shouldn't occupy them. Oh no, we have to occupy them. Because they won't agree. They won't let us. They won't agree to our generous offer. He didn't put that one out, but he could have. Sick. Yeah, I'd love to sit him down and tell him what happened, but they killed your father and your uncle. He thinks it's the CIA. Disgusting, man. So here's what's going on over here. I gotta explain some stuff. First of all, I'm boiling up. No AC. I'm about to go traveling for 4 days. I'll be back, and then we're going to the US after that, but we're going to Jeju tomorrow. So I have a video set for tomorrow morning. We're taking the Anal First crew to the woodshed. It'd be like Ali Alexandra, Nick Fuentes, all those closet homosexuals are going to get what's coming to them. But you're going to have to follow us on Telegram and Substack, because I'll be gone for a while. I just got some news while that was playing, because I have a whole bunch of woodshed stuff. I had the Shmuley interview and all that, but I'm probably not going to get to it because was just on the phone. I found out my 94-year-old grandmother her employees have been robbing her business for years. $200,000. Robbing her blind. She's taking care of these people. She's been so good to these people. And they were just stealing from her every day. And the police are going through. They've got 4 more years of records to go through. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So I've been hearing that. Fortunately, I happen to be going down there soon. So the people that did it, one of them's in jail. The other one is their brothers, and one brother's saying the other brother didn't know and had no clue anything was going on. Maybe. Their names are Danny and Carlos. Danny's saying Carlos didn't know anything. Carlos just had a kid. It'd be really bad for him to go to jail. That's pretty stupid to steal if you just had a baby also. And it's almost impossible that he didn't know because they were working in collusion, but innocent until proven guilty. So we'll let the evidence be what it is. If he's innocent, I would like to believe he is. I'd like to believe they didn't both backstab her, but it sure doesn't look like it. Danny's in jail, where he belongs. What an ass. Anyway, that was a curveball. Never have a normal day. Isn't that sick? 200K. I don't know, I think that was over like a 2-year period or something, but 4 more years to go. Unreal. Yeah, RFK Jr. Anyway, I'm trying to get back on topic. I wanted to support him so bad. He was good on COVID-19. He's saying he wants to withdraw support from Ukraine. You have peace with Russia. Of course, I believe him about as much as Obama said he was anti-war when he wasn't. But he just exposed himself there with Israel. It's funny because when he talks about Ashkenazis being the least affected by COVID, them and Chinese and Finns, I believe it is, that's a scientific fact, but they all called him anti-Semitic for it anyway. They jumped right to, oh, so you think it's a Jewish conspiracy theory that they made the virus, released it on everyone to try and kill everyone else other than themselves? Like, whoa, hey. He never said anything like that. What are you saying? Why are you saying that? Why did you jump straight to that? It just, look, every disease happens to affect one group more than another because all the groups are different. This happens to be a disease that was made in a lab. And it is possible that it was engineered to affect some races more than others. It makes sense that it would affect the Chinese the least, since it's made in China. The Ashkenazi and the Finn part could be a coincidence. You look at some of the funding for it, though, and maybe not. But he wasn't saying any of that, so I'll defend him on that. But after what he just did, the answers he just gave on the Israel-Palestine question, horrifying. But that's, and people, it's funny because they'll say, well, they just have to say that to get elected. Or he doesn't want a bullet in his head. It's really funny to me that no one says Israel was right. They just say, oh, you got to do that or you can't get elected. You got to do that or you won't be alive. They can't say they're right. It is an apartheid regime. They do ethnically cleanse Palestinians. They have racial colonies. They have laws in Israel that are determined by bloodline. Laws for Jews, laws for non-Jews. Two-tiered system. They have highways in the West Bank for the chosen and the not chosen. And obviously they have settlements for Jews and Jews only, protected by a standing army. They can just move into your living room and say, what's the famous line? If I didn't do it, someone else would. Manifest Destiny 2.0. He brought up the example of, well, we put Japanese in concentration camps. And the woman's like, yeah, we did. And that was wrong. Gross. Y'all have any questions? Yeah, this isn't gonna be a proper woodshed because I had a curveball thrown my way. I want to do this when at the normal time and a lengthier thing. I thought I'd get something else out, but we really have to break down the Rabbi Shmuley interview because that's even worse than what you just saw. The Frank Luntz talking points. He did the other one of saying, well, it's okay to criticize Israel, but you have to equally criticize all their neighbors. A, no, you don't. Because we're not giving their neighbors $11 million a day. We're not subsidizing all of their militaries and things. Their neighbors did not trick us into going to war with Iraq by lying about anthrax and WMDs. Their neighbors weren't being caught repeatedly spying on the United States, as recently with the Trump administration with stingrays. Their neighbors didn't steal nuclear material from the United States and build an illegal nuclear weapons program or assassinate the president. Their neighbors didn't create an Office of Special Plans at the Pentagon to fabricate and cherry-pick information to start a war. And where is it even, like Saudi Arabia is probably the best bad example of the Arab states. Even they aren't bulldozing down people's private property to replace them with some select elite group or chosen race of God. Even they don't do that. Which Arab state, and the only democracy may I ask, Lebanon's a democracy. There's a whole bunch of democracies all over the Middle East. Like that should matter. Which Arab state? Shouldn't call them Arab states, but that's, Muslim, Arab. They go by majority ethnic group because these people see the whole world in terms of race and religion. It's just a tiny little country surrounded by... Yeah, England's pretty small. So is Portugal. Didn't stop them from having sea empires. There's no Arab states that are colonizing each other. I guess the Kurds annexed a piece of Syria at the U.S. and Israel's behest. But nobody's ethnically cleansing the way Israel is Palestinians. They act just like ISIS, and Israel's routinely attacked Syria with airstrikes. I wish she'd brought that up. Oh, you're unconditional? Okay. Would taking warplanes and shooting missiles at another country be considered an act of war? It would, right? If Syria or Jordan or Egypt took warplanes and fired them into airports in Tel Aviv, the way the Israelis do to Damascus, that would be considered an act of war. But when Israel does it, not only is it not considered an act of war, it's not even reported on. How come every time Israel does a missile strike in Syria that none of the mass media in the United States feels like this is important enough to talk about? Not on televised news. That could have started a giant war with Syria. The only reason Syria doesn't fire back is because they know that Israel has the United States by the shorties. And if they fired back, America would come and level them. Yeah, I know. When people call Muslim countries, I'm like, okay, that is the majority religion, but that's not what your citizenship is based on. And it's not an ethnic group. Anybody can be Muslim. You don't have to be Arab or Persian to be Muslim. Anybody can be Muslim. But you got to be Jewish to be Jewish. Because they add that racial component and then they deny it. It is like 100 degrees in this room. I gotta go get the thing. I'll be right back. Sorry, I was dying. Let's see. No questions on this. It's just sad to see RFK go down like that. I am hoping, my dream is to do the show on Fresh and Fit about the RFK assassination. Because he needs to know what actually happened beyond just Thane Caesar. He needs to know the whole network and the whole story, which was set up to talk about JFK. But that's not really up to me. It's their show. I'll do whatever they want to do. But I just feel like during the presidential race, with RFK Jr. in the race, that it would be pertinent to talk about the assassination of his father. That's what I'd like to do. But that would be whatever. If it might be on that topic, it could be on something else. But whatever it is, can be August 4th, live in studio in Miami. They're in Colombia this Friday, and they're going to be, I don't know if they're there for 2 weeks or not, but I'm going to be in Jeju tomorrow, so I will not be there on the 28th. We'll be in Japan on the 31st, and then Florida on the 3rd, America time. And we'll be there a few days, and then we're heading out to the Outer Banks, so you can catch us down there. I think Reed Coverdale might be coming down. I heard a little bird tell me that. And some other crew, my brother, we're working on the university as well. The online Civil War University, I think we'll do. We'll start off with, at least. Should be good. I'm gonna go see the Native American Museum that they've set up. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's just sad, RFK. Like, I wish I had it where I could pause and talk about the video every time he said something stupid, but it was every sentence. And it's predictable. It's all stuff. I've heard those ready-made answers so many times. That the PSM is on Israel's the only democracy. They can't trade land for peace. Well, he spun around and said they would. No, they won't. Armed Jim Zeus with a high five says, when do you drop the truth on RFK Fresh and Fit? Make it a point to look at the camera and say, Bobby, hear this. Yeah. I think that is a big enough stage that it won't be ignored, because PBD and others are going to hear it. You know, this way Whitney can't steal it, because I'm just going to wait till I'm on the show to say it all. And, you know, not just her, but any plagiarist can be way harder if I get on a big enough stage to say something. It makes it much harder to steal. Now, I have said it all before. I've covered the Kennedys and things, but never on a show the size of Fresh and Fit. So, hopefully, that will be the subject matter. And y'all can encourage them. They're on Twitter. Add them if you haven't. And let them know that you want to hear a Dawson stream on Kennedy. And the reason I'm picking RFK is, I know y'all are more interested in JFK. But I feel like, because, first of all, it's more doable. It's a much shorter story, and I can do it in 2 hours or whatever. I think I can anyway. JFK, no way. And his son is running for president. And this is something they ought to know, because if this spikes his interest and he hears what happened to his father, maybe I can then have a conversation with him about what happened to his uncle and why. And we've kind of teased that out with Numac, as well as Decades of Deception. We got into why, into who, but I haven't explained how. Well, I have, but not in a movie anyway. Corey and I have done podcasts on it. We've done Telegram speeches on it, but I haven't gotten to talk about this subject since I had Twitter back. I only got to talk about this when I was blanket banned on everything. It really is a third rail. I mean, it's one of the most taboo things. You can kook it up, but you can't talk about the real movers and shakers of the Kennedy assassinations. It's just like 9/11. When I got banned off MySpace and AOL and all that, was because I was telling the truth about September 11th, back when there was a lot of interest in September 11th. The shit should have hit the fan. You know, and after I talked about 9/11 on Fresh and Fit, I had a lot of private inquiries from people in power that wanted to know what was going on. And boy, I gave them an earful. But that's what it took. I mean, y'all know I've been saying those things forever. And I'm still floating the idea around with Adam Fitzgerald, myself, to do a 9/11 symposium. I don't think I'll be back in the U.S. in September, but because I'll just go in there in August. However, December maybe, we'll see. There's a business thing I have to do down there in December anyway, so maybe then. I don't think it has to be on the anniversary. It's not that important. But we need to sit down, Nelson, myself, a couple other researchers, and do a giant presentation about what really happened. No Jonestown, none of that crap. Now, I have some films on ANC Report on how terrorists formed a nation, which I implore you to go see. It's about how Israel got started. And The Parasite. And there's 2 movies to watch in a row. How Terrorists Formed a Nation and The Parasite. Because they dovetail off one another. We might do one, and I've done so many interviews. The Woodshed of Ariel Sharon, I highly recommend. The debate I had with an IDF soldier, I highly recommend. The debate I had with the Christian Zionists, I highly recommend. Those are slam dunks. But anyway, thank you, RM Jim Zeus, for the high five. I'm going to pop off here. Follow us on Substack and Telegram and Twitter. I will have my phone with me. There's a video tomorrow morning that I've already set a timer to, but we're going to be gone for a couple days. So I'll just be writing and stuff. But I'm going to be in a Ted Kaczynski documentary, and they're interviewing me on the 28th. So there's that. But we're going to be on the road for like 12 days. So I'll try to set up some videos tonight on a timer for Rumble. And hopefully I will be able to monetize Twitter as soon as I land in the United States, because right now they want me to hook to a Korean bank, which I don't have. I still have Japanese citizenship. I still have a Japanese bank. So, but whatever. They locate your phone somehow. They know where you are. Like, where's your Korean Swift number and stuff? I'm like, not where I am. Anyway, we'll get it going down there. Jackson Hinkle is going to be debating with Sean Hannity this week. And he also just moved to Miami and expressed interest in coming on Fresh and Fit. But that's not my show. That's Myron and Fresh's show, and it's up to them. But that's something we might have a collab anyway later. I'm trying to get Daniel McAdams back on the show. I'm going to line up a lot of guests while I'm gone. Scott Ritter is busy till the 14th, but so am I. We'll bring him back on the show. I'm going to get a nice series on Ukraine. I do, while I remember, I want to say to Gonzalo Lira is still in jail. Everyone should remember him. They just arrested him basically for speaking out against the oligarchs. I hope he's doing okay. My heart's out to his family. It's fucked what happened to him. They put him in prison. He'll get out. Russia's going to win this war. He'll be released. I imagine it's bad. He knew that would probably happen. So he's there. A Shekelchat is incoming. Okay, let's see that. Yeah, the Telegram link is just t.me/ANC report. Very easy to remember. We got several different Telegram channels, but that's the main one. I'll invite you to the other ones as well. Oh, he sent it. All right, let's see. Oh, I read this one. Make sure to point to the camera and say, Bobby, hear this. I will. Yeah, I could get into the Bobby Baker scandal too. I mean, that was Epstein before Epstein. And it all went away once LBJ got in charge. And that's something I haven't covered in a while. I covered all these topics a lot more before I had children. It was easier. They take up a lot of time. It's sad that we had so much information on Google Video, and then later at MySpace, and then YouTube, and all of it got erased. Vimeo, all of it got erased. Dylan Hands sends in 10, says safe travels, peace. Hey, thank you so much. I'm going to use that on food. That's really awesome. Oh, on Power Chat. Well, let me open that. I haven't opened that up. I got to open up Odysee as well, being bad here. You know, I wish y'all should dogpile Robert Kennedy on Twitter and say, what the fuck, dude? Why are you... You don't word it like this. Don't be like, what the fuck, dude? Why are you cucking Israel? But in a more mature way said, I had such high hopes for you. I thought you would stand up for human rights. And then you pull this. And you just start doing the Zionist talking points. Do you need money that badly? Oh, let's see. Some on Power Chat. I think this is Wang HAF says, red pilling my family has been hard, especially because my dad is a former DIA. Ooh. He told me if I read John Locke, The Second Treatise of Government, he would watch Empire Unmasked. Have you read that book? I got it on Amazon. I hope it's not boring. Yes, I've read John Locke, and I agree with your dad. You ought to watch that, or you ought to read that, and he should watch Empire. John Locke is sort of the founding grandfather. I mean, a lot of his ideals, and also ideals from the Iroquois Confederation, but the ideas of individual liberty and private property, and this whole life, liberty, and pursuit of property, that's John Locke, the founder of liberalism with a small L, to get away from feudalism and monarchy, largely due to Locke's ideas. I like his philosophy more on his primary and secondary qualities of objects, talking about sense data. You should also read David Hume's Inquiry of the Senses. It's a great one. But yeah, read his Second Treatise of Government, and I hope you purchase the movie instead of watching one of these pirated copies. But yeah, get him in there, or get him watching the Fresh and Fit interviews. We broke it down, most of it in there anyway. There's way more in Empire than what's in those interviews, but those interviews cover the 9/11 stuff pretty well. Those interviews don't cover the Iraq stuff as much as my film, or the history of BCII and Afghanistan and so many other things that are in Empire, but I think we nailed it on 9/11. Red Menace for 5 says, appreciate your work and glad I can see a live stream. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. And then Fletcher Lens for 10 says, this one's gonna hurt but very necessary. Will there ever be another Four Horsemen? Well, okay, so nothing happened between the three of us. Everything's all good. It's just Reed hasn't really been doing a lot of videos at all. He's been doing Twitter now and then, and I think he's going back on Tim Pool in August 9th, if I'm correct, or something like that. But he's been on the road and working, and then Jackman's working on RFK's campaign, and I moved to Korea, and just a lot of all going different directions. So I'm pretty sure there will be another Four Horsemen, but it's those are great, but things have to realign. I think with Jackman, they're pretty serious. Both the Jackmans are doing, hardcore campaign work for RFK, so they might be at large for a while. So, and Reed, look, his other job makes more money than podcasting. So, I encourage him. Yeah, do the trucking, he does a lot of things, but all that is outdoor work is good money, good job. take it, you know. But we'll come back. We'll have a reunion. It'll be something. It'll be like the comeback. What do they say? The best in wrestling. They have a term when someone's been gone and comes back after a long time. Probably one of the biggest was when The Rock returned to host WrestleMania, or DX returning at WrestleMania versus Sting and his faction. I don't know. Big returns. I remember The Undertaker came back at WrestleMania 20. I was there. Donald Trump was at that event too. It's the first time I met him. Didn't drink, I learned. His older brother had a drunk driving accident or something, he said, and he just never touched it. Okay. Yeah, Four Horsemen, looking forward to that. If not, you know, I could get Pug and Sora, DJ, we could Four Horsemen as well. I mean, it's, those guys know their shit too. I'm gonna repost the ADL woodshed and the Barry Weiss woodshed and some other things on here while I'm traveling, so those will drop. Yeah. And did you see Pearly Things video about things you cannot say? Why can't we talk about the getting a little too close to the sun? I don't want her to lose her YouTube, and she will if she ever put that video on YouTube. She needs to be careful. She's got a good revenue, good thing going. She's killing it on Sean Hannity, back-to-back appearances. So she doesn't need to go near that question. I'm sure she just thought it was funny or whatever, but they don't have a sense of humor, and I'd hate to see someone lose their livelihood over a joke. But I posted a picture recently. I may have that still here. I went and screenshot it out of my mail. I think I do have this. I'm going to show you this. Look at this shit. This is in 2014 on one of the times one of my YouTube channels banned. Your video, Israeli lawmaker calls for Palestinian genocide, was flagged for review. Blah, blah, blah. It violates our guidelines and we removed it from YouTube. Content glorifying or inciting violence against another person or group of people is not allowed on YouTube. Da, 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 da. Okay. I didn't advocate violence towards any person or group. The Israeli lawmaker did. She said all Palestinian mothers ought to be killed, that they gave birth to little snakes. She said all kinds of horrendous stuff. And that is not uncommon in the Knesset. And I was reporting that not just some Israeli, but Israeli lawmakers were calling to murder all Palestinian mothers. Genocide. And of course, the media didn't report on this, and these lawmakers weren't punished, but I was for making a video about it. So they consider it hate speech to report on somebody's actual hate speech. So they get to advocate for genocide, and it's not just talking, because they're doing it. They are killing Palestinians. But you're not even allowed to say it. You're not even allowed to say what they say. And that's how YouTube is. I had a video removed called Palestinians Are People Too. My Rachel Corrie thing got a strike. My Ahmed Tamimi video got a strike. It was just Palestinians playing soccer and stuff, like trying to be happy, but it was showing all the demolished things around them. They couldn't handle that. They don't want anyone to see the destruction that's going on there. It's so much worse than Palestine. There never would have been either one of the Iraq wars without the Israelis or Syria. We've been over that ad nauseum. I got to pack soon. If you want to throw up in your mouth, though, go watch the Rabbi Shmuley interview with RFK. It is so bad. It's the frog and the scorpion, really. I put this in the video. I don't know if it reached that part, so I'll just grab it and stick it in the OBS. But if you know the story, why did you sting me? It's in my nature. There he is with the ADL, and he doesn't understand. It doesn't matter how much you regurgitate their talking points and say and do everything they want. They are always going to stab you in the back. Because you don't support the war in Ukraine. You're not down. Look, you can't give them 9 out of 10. You got to get in 10 out of 10 and say, yes, sir, may I have another. Israel, I mean, they're going to back. There's some really hardcore Zionists running. Nikki Haley, for example. All of them are Zionists. There's not a single candidate that's just like, fuck Israel. Why are we giving them money? They murder their neighbors. It'd be that easy. This is what they do. Let's go over to Odysee. Chong. Yeah, he bowed to the ADL. Hit that fire button on Odysee. Oh, aha, reset stream. 10,000 on Odysee subs, not live. Not bad. And 17.9. Let's try to get to 18,000 on Rumble. Yeah, my family did get robbed by a couple of Mexicans, or at least one. The other one might be innocent, although I doubt it. They took advantage of her, man. That's so low. One of them, she gave him a house. She took a motel unit and turned it into a place for them to live. It took a loss to do that. And they still stole money from her every day. Shameless scum. Entropy is still a thing. I just don't have it on right now. Yeah, RFK is not the savior on the hill. The only good thing would be is because he's psychotic on the environment and guns and a bunch of stuff. He was good on COVID. Not really any better than DeSantis, though. Bad on just about everything else. But he would release all the JFK files, I'm confident. And if you pay attention to that, look at the Tucker Carlson employee that got to see those files and came back and said, it's a whole different country than what we thought. Who could that be? It's not Cuba. A lot of people thought that. A whole different country than what you thought. Huh. I wonder if it was our greatest ally. Yeah, I'll do that ADL woodshed. I'm going to set that up as a timer. It'll come on Rumble while I'm traveling. Somebody's dissing on Max Blumenthal. No, Sidney Blumenthal sucks. Max Blumenthal has been very good on the Palestine question and Iraq. He started off poorly on Syria, but then changed his mind, largely because of people like Vanessa Beeley. But he's been good on Ukraine too now. He's been good on Syria. He's not a deep state actor. Can't visit Corey in the States. I think he's in Colorado. It's pretty far from Florida. I'm coming all the way over from Asia. People can come to me. I'm not jumping from state to state. Oh, we have some groiper faggot. Get bent, dude. Fuentes is advocating marrying a 16-year-old. And then one of his employees getting dick pictures from a 15-year-old. Another one of his fans also thought it was natural to marry women at 16. That's all coming out tomorrow. You're going to see. We have some very interesting screenshots. Yeah, I didn't want to do this. But if you're going to talk shit, as soon as I have free time, because I'm doing Ukraine and a bunch of other things, like, okay, I'll respond to this. It's not hard to do. These people are midwit fucking retards. At least Destiny admits it. I mean, here's his clip. he knew that he got wrecked, but he's just like, okay, it's because you're more knowledgeable. This is what he said.
I lost a debate to Ryan Dawson. That wasn't because of debate tactics. That because he was legitimately more knowledgeable on the topic. If you go and you watch my debate with Ryan Dawson, Ryan's not going like, oh, look at Destiny laughing when he does this, and actually at 1941, blah, blah, blah. When he's asked a question, it's boom, 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 boom. It's just a bunch of information that he had. I lost a debate to Ryan.
Yeah, that's on him. Like, look, you don't know. You guys are infotainment. You're not researchers. You don't make documentaries. You don't understand these things. You can't just run around saying Christ is king, Hitler's base, race realism. Am I right, dude? It's a bunch of dorks. Rainer 21 slapping in the Benjamin. Jimmy Dore compared Pfizer to Israel. Making inroads. Yeah. Jimmy Dore recently had a bit on making fun of Al Gore, because Al Gore, what was Inconvenient Truth? What year was that? Like 2007, 6, something, whatever. He said by 2013 there would be no polar ice caps. And then Reuters came out and said, no, that's not what he said. He misled the data. Like, okay, you mean lied? He did say that too. It's in his movie where he took CGI footage and acted like it was real. He grabbed footage from the day after tomorrow and put it in Inconvenient Truth and passed it off like it was real. Mike Rivera has been all over him for this for a long time. And then he said, yeah, by 2013 there wouldn't be any ice in the North Pole. Yeah, it's still frozen, by the way. Dude, Rainer, I haven't seen him in a while, and he just comes in the wall like the Kool-Aid man with a Ben Franklin. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, that's good for Jimmy Dore making inroads there. Pfizer to Israel. What exactly did he say? How are they the same? I mean, I know, but I want to know what he said. Destiny lost to Nick. I think he did. It was close to 50-50 because Nick didn't know about the first Gulf War, and his answer on the second Gulf War was all fucked up. He got all but one name wrong, but Destiny didn't know any better, so he couldn't call him out on it. But it ended up coming like a 3-against-1. I felt like Zerka would just interrupt. Anytime Fuentes was on the ropes, Zerka would just jump in and be his donkey self. And Sneeko jumped in a few times, and look, I don't really give a fuck because it's Destiny, but to be fair, it should have just been Nick and Destiny, like without any cheerleaders in the room, and Myron should have gotten, I think Myron was objective, but he just allowed them to dogpile on him, and that, even though they were right, it gives Destiny an out to say, well, I got dogpiled. And he would be correct because he did get dogpiled, but you know, he may have lost it anyway. But it should have just been structured differently, in my opinion. But I don't know why these two were talking about. So neither one of them know what they're talking about. Like, and it's really stupid to phrase it as the JQ. I mean, get rid of the Hitler optics. This stuff's dumb. I guess it does. It definitely gets the clicks, but short-term gains. I don't know. You're really risking a really huge business for Nazi potty humor, and that's just not the way to go. I like if someone sent in $1 after that $100. It says his name is Funk Master Fletch. Do you have any book recommendations on the Bolshevik Revolution? Yeah. If you go to my website, ancreport.com, and click on About, and then click on Recommended Books, I'm sure there's some shit in there. Trying to think off the top of my head what would be the best thing. I don't know. It depends, like what do you want to know about? It's a pretty broad event. Where to start? I like the ones, these aren't about that, but recommended earlier on for John Locke, David Hume as well. Oh, he said how Pfizer's screwing people the same way Israel does. Yeah. People are going hard on Jews, especially on Twitter. Yes. Look, I'm not a fan of Judaism or any other monotheism. I think it's infantilizing. And I'm definitely not a friend of Zionism or Israel. But you can't blame or equivocate just being Jewish to being an asshole, even if a whole lot of them are. Because this is not a product of biology. It's a cult. And it's the original identity cult. It used to be a religion, which is still a cult. But now it's based on descent and identity. It's not even based on faith, because you have atheist Jews, which I think that's an oxymoron. But Jewish identity is no longer the belief in Noah's Ark and Moses and all that. It's just being within the bloodline of Jews, because then you get to have all the fun victim cards from the Holocaust, persecution, getting kicked out of 109 countries and so on. And in today's culture, that's currency. It's the oppression Olympics. Being a victim is cool. Someone said when I was your age, television was called books. They thought books would disappear. They didn't. I still enjoy the paper system too. Loved the religion talk yesterday. Learned a ton, man. Thank you so much. I wish I'd recorded that, but I didn't. I'll do it again sometime. Oh, this guy dissing on Reed. How about you're deleted for this whole live stream? I don't feel like listening to your crap. This is what you call a shit stir. Reed is my friend, and I like his content. I really love his Twitter, and allegedly another Twitter account that may also be him. He did a good channel. He's networked. He's came to DC to the screening. He came to Texas. He might be coming to the Outer Banks. So I'm not letting you talk shit on Reed Coverdale. Guy is he's only in his 20s. I look at all the stuff, he moved to New Hampshire. He's making it happen. Fuck you if you shit on Reed or Jackman. We're horsemen. We can say shit about each other. You cannot. I'll have nothing bad to say either. Jackman, by the way, I think he's lost like 55 pounds. Killing it. It's hard to do. It's a hard habit to break. Get rid of this frog. That's what I thought when I saw it. Trump is the same way. He's another frog and a scorpion. He couldn't believe it that Netanyahu called and congratulated Biden. I said, how many times they have to lie to your fucking face before you realize there is no pleasing these people? They hate you. They're never going to support you. So a couple questions here where they didn't shekel, so I'm not going to read them. You can, if Rumble is giving you problems, you can use Odysee, or you can use this. Because I know Rumble doesn't work on phones for some. Powerchat.live/Dawson, then you can go there and ask whatever. Or Odysee.com at Ryan Dawson 6. Why 6? I don't know. I guess there were 5 other Ryan Dawsons. Reading Odysee right now. Oh, Handsome Truth. Okay, that guy is on film sucking dick. The Goyim Defense League, that's worse than Fuentes. Like, these people drove around in a van that had like "They Love Hitler" on it, and then a Palestine flag. Fuentes will do the Hitler shit and then be like, "I love Jesus, I'm a Catholic." Like, oh no, please separate your religion from your racism. No. Lincoln Unmasked, Thomas DeLorenzo. Yeah, it's a good book. I was supposed to interview him. We were playing email ping pong and I completely got overwhelmed with other stuff. I can't believe that this hasn't happened. When I get back in August, we definitely need to do the Lincoln interview with Thomas DeLorenzo. Lincoln Unmasked and The Real Lincoln, both good short books on the tyrant. Let's see. Where in Florida? I'm going to be everywhere. Going to be south of Tampa. Going to be near Kissimmee, like near Orlando. I'm going to be in Miami. Funk Master Fletch says, and the Bolsheviks. Best book on their influence. Can't say what's the best, but I can say that's pretty good. I think Michael Jones has written about it as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. We should have him back on too. Michael Jones. Michael Jones. Now there's a guy who's Catholic and goes hard on Jewish power, but he, like me, doesn't consider it racial teleology because he's not retarded. Civil War, yeah, DawsonTime.com. That website is still working. Probably going to get replaced by our university though. Yeah, we have a whole site on mostly Civil War stuff. It has some pirate stuff on there, Blackbeard and some other tales from history, but it's mostly Civil War because that's a huge endeavor. And it's something that's constantly lied about. And reach. I usually have a Confederate flag within arm's length, but it's just a little bit too far away. Bringing that. Gonna bring that to North Carolina. Well, it's not bad for a morning show. It's about 600 people watching. Oh, a little bit over 620 people watching. Not bad. So in 9 hours we'll be having another show. So if you have any questions, get them in now, because I gotta pack and go to sleep. All right. Okay, let's play something for you guys. Let's see. How about that one? All right, I'm going to intro. If I see a question, I'll flip back on. If not, have a great day. We'll see you tonight.